Good morning, Tess. Is it Tess?
That's right.
How
Nice to meet you.
nice to meet you. I was just thinking, is today the full moon?
It was yesterday,
It
but
was
we have
okay, yeah.
full moon ceremony this evening.
Okay, that's what I was seeing too, because I was like, is that why everything's gone a little
Yeah.
haywire? Oh, it was, yeah,
Well, we're also coming out of Mercury
of
retrograde,
course.
so there's that.
There's always something happening
Yes.
lately.
Yeah, for sure.
So thank you for joining us. Do you mind introducing yourself before we start?
Not at all. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Tess, and I'm the founder and curator at Breathing Room Collective. We're a brand new yoga and wellness studio in Hillsboro, Oregon. We're about 20 minutes outside of Portland. And we just opened on November 1st this year. So brand new, brand new.
What has it been like? I mean, you've been open now, what, 6 weeks at this point? What has it been like?
It's been fun. It's a little bit of a roller coaster. I'm used to building businesses online, so this is definitely a new experience for me having a brick and mortar. But I absolutely love it. I work with some of the most amazing and gifted healers and guides and teachers that you can imagine, and so it's been a lot of fun.
So when you were working online, was it in yoga and wellness again, and you decided that it was time, or
No.
what was your previous life?
Completely different previous life. I worked as a business consultant, solopreneur for almost 25 years. And right before my 50th birthday, I realized I have a whole life ahead of me and that I can choose what I want to be when I grow up. And I sort of ticked off the boxes in my head. I even looked at law school. I mean, I really looked into just every possible future. And I'd always loved yoga, but never had integrated it into my life in a serious way. So I decided to go back to India, where I'd lived for a number of years in my 20s. And I did 500 hours of teacher training in Goa. Came home and realized that does not make you a teacher,
Yeah.
not right away.
Yeah.
And so while I build my own practice, I decided to go ahead and build the space and let other people create offerings. And so it's been a really nice synergy while I grow and continue to learn as a teacher, to hold the business.
Yeah.
So
And it's amazing that you have that business background as well, because it's so vital. People can be excited and passionate about yoga, which is obviously a huge component to doing this, but there's a reality and a business side that needs to be addressed, right? And
absolutely,
so how
yeah.
amazing that you have that skill set.
Well, and I do feel like it has helped inform the way I treat my teachers, the way we handle pricing. I really strive to make this space accessible, and so our drop-in is $15. And if people show up and can't afford that, we're certainly not going to turn them away. Um, I feel like for where we live, I feel like we pay our teachers better than fair. And it's really important to me that they're treated as more than just a piece of the system. I can build a beautiful space, but it's the teachers who bring the magic every day. And so those relationships are really key.
Yeah. And I was actually surprised when I was looking at the offerings that you have right now that you had only been offered. I mean, you had mentioned it at one point, but I didn't realize you were so brand new, because you have so much on the schedule and such a wide variety. Like, you have movie nights, you had line
Yeah,
dancing, which I was so excited about. I was like, I'd always wanted to take a line dancing class, but
yeah.
it really is, I expected a sound bath and all those classes, but you have really just a huge range of offerings.
Well, I have a really diverse group of teachers, and I told them all in the very beginning, I want you to bring what lights you up into this space. That's what this is for. It is an 1,800 square foot warehouse, and so we added 42 feet of bar, and we have a circuit class. There's quite a diverse offering here, and part of the reason is that I see yoga studios failing. I think sometimes because they aren't as diversified as they could be. And so I wanted to, come out of the gate running with as many potential touch points for people who want to move their bodies, but maybe aren't comfortable yet with yoga, or, So line dancing is something special that one of our teachers, she teaches, and has had classes as big as 200 people. We can't fit that many in here, but we thought, why not? I mean,
Yeah.
this is a great space for dance as well. So
Yeah. I've always loved the idea. Like I said, I've never done it, but
Yeah.
you don't have to really think, right? Someone's telling you what to do, and you can sort of
Yeah,
move and do it, and you can just enjoy. You'd have to think, does this look right? Am I doing it wrong? It's just really about just responding and enjoying the moment, which, is a big part of yoga
absolutely.
as well. So I
Absolutely.
was excited to see that.
Well, if you were closer, we'd invite you. That's on Monday night, actually, coming right up. So it'll be fun. I haven't really experienced line dancing except maybe in my 20s once in Texas. So I'm
Right.
looking forward to it as well. It'll be fun.
What have you found so far? I mean, I know you haven't been open that long, but what has the response been to the different classes? What's the most popular one so far?
Um, so we have a red light flow on, I want to make sure I get the schedule right, on Wednesday nights with Abby.
Mm-hmm.
And that one we sort of just invented out of thin air. We wanted something that was really about feminine energy and a
Mm-hmm.
bit dancey. And so we bring red lights into the studio, and Abby is just an amazing teacher. She really helps. It's incredible. She really helps people embody just what they're feeling and how to get into their own skin, and that's been a lot of fun. And that has become more and more packed as time has gone on.
Yeah.
Our sound bath, obviously, I do stack a few classes, and so oftentimes we'll have people come in for open studio, and then they'll stay for hatha, like candlelight hatha, and then after that, now we have a yoga nidra. So it really can be an experience. So we're watching those offerings that are sort of stacked
Right.
in a way where people stay in the studio for a couple hours. We're seeing a lot of really good response to those sort of offerings.
Wow. And what's the area of Hillsboro like? Is it like a rural community? What kind of people, like, what is it like?
It's pretty suburban.
Yeah.
Intel has been here, so there's a nice diverse population out here, which I really love. Um, Lots of families, but also lots of young professionals. And we are located in an area where there are beautiful studios, but they don't have the capacity that we, to offer 10 classes a day or something like that. And so we are seeing people come in who are really excited to have a lunch break yoga class at 12:45 or 12:30 for 45 minutes, or who are really happy to find a meditation class on a Saturday where otherwise you would have to drive into Portland for those offerings.
And that's so key. And I'm sure as a business person, you weighed all that right into consideration. The location, I'm sure, was really important to you.
The location really found me. Originally, I was looking at a space on the Southwest waterfront in Portland, and because the universe is always conspiring for our higher good, that didn't work out.
Right.
And I ended up finding this space. It was a private bodybuilding gym, and when I walked in, it was packed with equipment, packed with posters, and really just a neat space. But I could see what I wanted to build in here immediately, even though it was full of, someone else's vision. And and the people who owned the space were just incredibly supportive as well. They loved the idea of wellness coming into the space. So yes, it's where we are is great. And we also have parking, which is a huge deal. It's really
on the practical
nice.
side, right?
Yeah.
When you were sitting down and you were visioning the studio and the space in this next sort of phase of your life, coming up with a name, how was that an easy process? Did that find you? Were there a lot of like duds along the way that you were like,
Yeah, I had always envisioned a space. I didn't really know what it would be, something around breathing room or living room. But I wasn't sure. And then I went on a hike with a friend named Stephanie, and I just kind of shared the idea with her, thinking that it sounded a little stupid, actually. I felt, I was uncertain. I thought, oh, that's a little, I don't know. And she encouraged me really to explore it further. And then I found a logo designer, and we really just decided to stick with what's pure. And it is breathing room. It's space for people to come and just let go and be at ease. And so I think in the end, it's quite appropriate, and I really love it. But yeah, I played around with some other names briefly, but that one really stuck.
Do you find your own personal practice, has it changed at all since you opened the studio? Has it?
I wish I could say I'm practicing as much as I would like.
Yeah.
The greatest irony is that I didn't like regularly practice for 2 months while my house was full of everything for the studio while I was waiting to move in. And just busy with business things, interviewing teachers. And so I wasn't making that time. And it really did take a huge impact on my, I mean, I'm well, but I could just tell that I needed to get back to it. So yeah, it's changed in that I'm basically starting from scratch in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
I'm finding that I'm needing to get back into my body and really synergize the business side of my life with the practice side of my life. But it's been wonderful. I have incredible offerings available every single day.
Right.
So that's been really nice.
Yeah. Did you, during the pandemic, how long has your personal practice been going on? Did you find that you were practicing more, you were practicing less, you were practicing online? Because I don't think I saw online offerings on your website yet. I don't know if that's something you did on purpose or you were considering.
Yeah, so I really believe that people need the village. I think it's something we've been convinced that we don't need anymore, and I disagree. And so I've purposefully not offered online classes, but we do actually have, in the new year, we will have partners. There's a gal in London named Andriana who teaches beautifully, and she's going to be teaching for us on our video on demand platform. So we will have some digital offerings, but in general, my goal is to bring people together in community, in person.
Yeah.
So if and when we offer online offerings, they won't be a huge cornerstone of what we do for a while. But yes, I practiced more during the pandemic for sure. I think we all did.
Yeah.
There was nothing else to do.
Oh. Do you remember your first yoga class that you ever took personally?
Oh gosh. It was probably like a DVD or even a VHS tape when I was living in Seattle on Capitol Hill. And I remember being amazed at how strong my body was. It was really a profound experience to realize there's something in there more than what I was aware of. As far as in-person classes, gosh, it was probably in India and also 20s. Yeah.
Did you go to India specifically for yoga, or was that just a trip?
Initially, I was actually there with a study abroad program. I was at the University of Washington, and I was studying philosophy. And I just loved where we were so much that I actually dropped out of school and stayed for 4 years in India. I was in an intentional community called Oroville, and then I lived in Goa for a while. Yoga found me there, I think. It wasn't something that I had really experienced much of until India. And then, of course, to learn yoga and practice yoga in the seat of the soul of yoga has also been just really special.
What was it like? I mean, having all that training and that beautiful experience in India, and then coming back to the US, how, I mean, I can't even say how do they compare, because I feel like I know the answer, but how did it compare for you?
Yeah, I always have felt like there's a part of my heart in India. It's a beautiful country, of course, but I feel like you can feel the energy in the soil there. It's just, there's something special about that part of the planet, and people there are incredible. And so while my family is here, my true heart is here, there's always a part of me that's sort of yearning to go back. And I still keep in touch with my professors, my instructors from India. Talk about going back. I was planning to do a retreat in March back to Goa, but I realized once we opened that really my focus needs to be here for now. So we postponed that for a while, but I'll be back as soon as possible. It's just an incredible place. And you learn from some of the best, most intrinsically yogic people on the planet. It's just a beautiful way to learn the practice. It's much more than being on a sticky mat for 60 minutes, which oftentimes gets lost in translation, I think. So.
And I always think about that, and I say I'm grateful for that 60 minutes, but at the same time, there is this whole other level, this whole other world of yoga, right? That we kind of take what we can and we appreciate it, but also remembering that, oh my God, and I love that vision of just, it's ingrained in the soil that you're walking on, and that is a very different experience to have. And I hope that you're able to do the retreat when the time is right and take people on to enjoy it, maybe for the first time. What a great experience that will be for them. Have you been back since you were there when you were younger, or have there been other trips?
My teacher training was this year. I was there for March and April. So that's the most recent trip. And it was one of those things where I kept thinking, I'll go next year, I'll go next year. And then I had my daughter, she's 16 now,
Yeah.
started a few businesses, you know, it's just life. And I kept looking at the calendar. And then we actually had a trip planned, my husband, my daughter, and I, right before COVID started. And we were coming back from Mexico. We were going to be leaving in a week and a half. And it was pretty clear that things were shutting down. And so we
Yeah.
just, it didn't make sense to go. And so, yeah,
Right.
the recent trip was this year, and it was amazing to be back. Have you
Wow.
been to
I
India before?
went, oh, it would have been 2007 when I went. And I was mostly in the north, and I was actually there for about 3 weeks. And I was supposed to go down to Goa, but I got incredibly sick
Oh, no.
continuously. Yeah, it was a sort of situation where I had to eventually cut my trip short. But I there were so many emotions, you know, and everything was so intense. And that's one of the things that I loved about it was the intensity of it, the sheer beauty. And then you would be sobbing the next minute. And I really, it moved me. It moved me incredibly. It was a little exhausting as well. And I was much younger. So I'd love to go back now with sort of a fresh perspective. And I wasn't practicing then. I actually started practicing about a year or two later, like very seriously. So, you know, I went as sort of a more of a tourist eyes that I had and just experience something as a traveler. So I would love to go back. And again, you know, time sort of escapes you. You go next year and next year, and you know, then you're 50. I turned
Now,
50
yeah,
last year.
time is
You're like,
always now. Well, maybe you'll come with us when we go back.
I'd love to, you know, and
We'll
I'd love
bring
to
Go
go
to
with,
Love magazine along
right.
for the ride.
We love to travel. So that'd be funny. We meet in India instead of in
Yeah,
Oregon, right? We're like,
yeah,
it makes sense.
that'd be great.
So I'm excited to hear about, you know, what develops and how sort of the journey goes. If anyone comes to you and says, you know, I'm interested in opening a yoga studio, what do you have any advice? Like, what would your one piece of advice be to someone that's like, I want to do this too?
Buckle up.
Buckle up.
I mean, I think of myself as a pretty, I think I have a good center. I have a good foundation within me, but it has been a roller coaster for sure. I mean, there's a lot of ups and downs. There's a lot of fear and anxiety, to be honest. Will people come?
Yeah.
Will people resonate with what I've built?
Yeah.
And again, I can build a beautiful space, but I rely on those other teachers to create and hold space for their classes. And so there's so many variables, but at the same time, it's a beautiful offering. And I know that as people find it, it will find its place in the world. And it's been a lot of fun so far, but yeah, those initial first few weeks where maybe there's an empty class, I took a lot of that very personally, and that part was hard. So I guess the best advice is to just breathe your way through it. And I would, if I could go back and give myself advice, it would be to maintain my practice, to spend that even 30 minutes doing pranayam and then flowing for a little while. That's the center. That's the center of the universe here, at least. So it was the one big thing that was missing that I think could have helped me the most.
Yeah.
But also to prepare to have a good time, because it really is fun. It's been great seeing people come in and be together, process emotions the way we know we do and when we practice regularly. And then just to see the teachers develop these really unique offerings and to be able to support that growth. Because it's not just about growing this business, but each of these people who teaches is ultimately hoping to grow their own business as well. So,
and I think it's really great that you're giving them the opportunity to explore the things that they love to do, because that will automatically bring their own community as well, the people that love doing the things. And when we do things with love, like, we do them so much better, right? They don't always succeed financially,
right.
but you know,
yeah.
but we try.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like contentment is where the abundance is at, you know, and so as long as we're within our own intention and within our own joy, it will come. I just trust that it will come. But yeah, I feel like it's almost my job to provide a platform for these other voices. There's so much good to be had in the world. Why not let these people open up what it is they love? You know, I could easily create a schedule like, you teach Ashtanga, you teach Hatha, but then the light is missing, right? And so I want them to teach whatever it is that they love.
And I love it too. Tess, thank you so much for joining us today. And I love what you're doing, and I can't wait to come visit you if it's in India, if it's in your beautiful new
Yeah.
space. And I'm so excited about what you're doing and that people are still doing this. You know, I always say I love these conversations because no one opens a yoga studio to get rich, right? People do this because you might get rich, right? But you do it because you love it. It's something that it's about emotional and spiritual fulfillment, really. And having conversations with people that are doing this work that you're doing is so important. And I thank you for doing this work. So I'm sure your community appreciates it as well. And we're happy to share all the work that you're doing as well. And your work lets us do our work. So thank you
Well, thank
for supporting
you so much.
us as well.
I really appreciate you giving me time to talk about what we're doing here and just share with people that we're here. So
Yeah.
thank you again.
All right. I'm going to send you a link to this conversation later, and we'll share it on our YouTube and all the platforms, and we'll get people in your studio and on your events. And have a wonderful holiday.
So thank you. You also.
Take care. Have a
See you
good
in
one.
the new year. Bye bye.